The night my dad told me to stay outside until I learned some respect, it was already getting cold in that sharp, early fall way that sneaks under your jacket and settles in your bones. We were standing in the front hallway of the house I grew up in, the same hallway where my height was marked on the wall in pencil, the same place where family photos hung, smiling faces pretending everything was always fine. The porch light was on behind me, the door was open, and my dad's face was red, jaw tight, eyes locked on me like I'd just committed some unforgivable crime. All I did was ask why you keep treating me like I don't matter, I said. My voice shook, but I didn't back down. I was tired of swallowing it. He laughed. Not a warm laugh, the kind that cuts. Respect isn't something you ask for, it's something you earn. My stepmom stood behind him with her arms crossed, lips pressed together, not saying a word. She never did when it mattered. "Go outside," my dad said, pointing toward the door. "Stand out there until you learn some respect." I waited for him to say he was joking. I waited for him to sigh, rub his temples, say, "Let's talk about this later." But instead, he stepped aside and held the door open wider. I felt my chest tighten. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," he said. "Maybe the cold will teach you something." I grabbed my phone and my jacket from the hook by the door. As I stepped onto the porch, the wood creaked under my shoes. The air smelled like damp leaves and exhaust from the street. I turned back, hoping, stupidly, that he'd stop me. He didn't. The door shut behind me with a solid click. The lock slid into place. I stood there for a second, staring at my reflection in the glass. My own face looked pale, eyes too bright. 26 years old and still being punished like a child. I walked down the steps and sat on the edge of the front lawn, pulling my jacket tighter. Cars passed by, headlights washing over me for a second before disappearing. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked. A neighbor laughed. I checked my phone. No messages, no missed calls. This wasn't the first time my dad had done something like this. Growing up, he had a way of making me
Please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. Thank you.
feel like I was always one mistake away from being thrown out, like love was conditional, like I had to earn my place in my own family. I texted my friend Maya. "Can I come over?" 3 dots appeared, then stopped, then appeared again. "I'm not home tonight. Are you okay?" I typed, "I'm fine," and deleted it. Typed, "Not really," and deleted that too. I didn't want pity. I didn't even know what I wanted. I leaned my head back and stared at the dark sky. No stars, just clouds and the dull orange glow of streetlights. I thought about my grandma, my dad's mom. She'd always been different, sharp, quiet, the kind of woman who noticed everything but didn't always say it out loud. When I was little, she used to slip me extra money for emergencies and tell me to keep it hidden. She was the only one who noticed when I stopped talking at dinner, the only one who asked, "Are you really okay?" and waited for the answer. But she lived across the city now. I hadn't seen her in months, and even if I had, I didn't think of calling her. Pride is a stupid thing, but it's hard to let go of. I checked the time again. Almost an hour had passed. My dad hadn't come out. No text, no knock, nothing. That's when I heard it. At first it was just a low hum, like distant thunder. Then headlights appeared at the end of the street. Too bright, too smooth. A long black car rolled slowly toward our house, glossy and unmistakable. A limo. I sat up straighter, my heart starting to pound. Limousines don't come to our street. Not ever. The car slowed, the turn signal clicked, and then it pulled right up in front of my dad's house. I stood up slowly, my legs stiff from sitting. The engine idled, quiet and expensive sounding. The back door opened. A man in a dark suit stepped out first, looking around, scanning the house. Then he opened the door wider. And my grandma stepped out. She wore a tailored coat, pearl earrings, and that calm, unreadable expression she always had when she was about to say something that would change everything. Her eyes landed on me standing in the yard. They narrowed. She took one look at my face, at the jacket pulled tight around me, at the way I was standing there like I didn't belong in my own home. "Why," she said slowly, her voice sharp enough to cut through the night, "are you outside?" Before I could answer, the front door of the house flew open. My dad stepped out onto the porch, his face draining of color the moment he saw her. "Mom," he said, forcing a smile, what's going on?" She didn't even look at him. She looked at me again, really looked, and then she took one deliberate step toward the house. "I think," she said quietly, "we need to talk." And the way she said it made my stomach twist, because I knew whatever she had come here for, my dad was not ready for it. I hadn't learned respect standing outside in the cold, but someone was about to learn something tonight. And it wasn't me. My dad's smile froze on his face, like someone had hit pause at the worst possible moment. "Mom, it's late," he said, trying to sound calm, normal. "If this is it's about her," my grandma cut in, finally turning her gaze toward him. Her eyes were sharp, disappointed, and cold in a way I'd only seen once before, years ago, when my uncle tried to lie to her about money. She gestured toward me without even looking. "Why is she outside?" My stepmom appeared behind my dad, peeking through the doorway like she wasn't sure whether to hide or intervene. When she saw the limo, her mouth fell open for half a second before she caught herself. "It's just a family disagreement," my dad said quickly. "She got disrespectful. I told her to cool off." Grandma laughed softly. That laugh made my skin prickle. "You locked her out," she said. Not a question. My dad's jaw tightened. "She needs to learn." "She's learning," Grandma snapped, stepping closer to the porch. "She's learning exactly who you are." I swallowed hard. Part of me wanted to disappear. Another part of me felt something dangerous stirring in my chest. Hope mixed with fear. Grandma turned to me then. "How long have you been out here?" I hesitated. "Almost an hour." Her lips pressed together. I saw her hand clench around her purse strap. "An hour ago, I would have told you I was used to being invisible. Standing there, under the porch light with a limo idling behind me and my grandmother staring down my father like he was a stranger, I didn't feel invisible at all. I felt exposed." My dad cleared his throat. "Mom, let's take this inside." "No, we're not doing this inside." She looked around the quiet street, at the neighboring houses with their dark windows and trimmed lawns. "I think it's important that things are said exactly where they happened." My stepmom stepped forward. "This is unnecessary drama," she said sharply. "You don't know what she's like lately. She's been rude, ungrateful." Grandma's head snapped toward her. "I wasn't speaking to you." The silence that followed was thick and heavy. The driver by the limo shifted slightly, pretending not to listen. I noticed suddenly that he hadn't gone anywhere. He was waiting. Grandma took a breath, then spoke in a low, controlled voice. "I came because I received a phone call today. A very interesting phone call." My dad stiffened. "From who?" She ignored him and looked at me again. "Did you know you were being told to stay outside tonight?" "No, I thought he was just angry." She nodded slowly, like she was filing that information away. My dad laughed again, but this time it sounded desperate. "Mom, you drove all the way here for this? You hired a limo for this?" Her eyes finally met his. "I didn't come for this," she said. "This just confirmed I was right to come." My heart started pounding so loud I was sure everyone could hear it. "What are you talking about?" my dad asked. Grandma reached into her purse. I leaned forward without realizing it. My stepmom's fingers dug into my dad's arm. He didn't pull away. From the purse, Grandma pulled out a thick envelope, yellowed at the edges, heavy. She said, "I was going to wait. I thought maybe you'd come to your senses on your own. But seeing her out here, like this, no." My dad's face had gone pale. "Mom, don't." That word "don't" sent a chill through me. Grandma looked at him with something close to sorrow. You don't get to tell me that anymore. She turned the envelope over in her hands, not opening it yet, not showing anyone what was inside. I think, she said slowly, it's time we talked about what you've been calling respect all these years and what it's cost her. She looked at me one last time, her eyes softening just a little. Sweetheart, you might want to stand a little closer. I took a step forward, my pulse racing, as my stepmom backed up towards the door without even realizing it. And that's when I understood. Whatever was inside that envelope wasn't just words. It was something my dad had been afraid of for a long time, and Grandma was finally ready to let it out. I stepped closer, like Grandma told me to, my shoes crunching softly against the gravel at the edge of the driveway. The porch light buzzed above us, flickering just enough to make everything feel unstable, like the world itself couldn't decide what was about to happen next. My dad watched me move, not with anger this time, with something closer to panic. "Mom," he said again, slower now, quieter, "you don't understand the whole situation." Grandma didn't look at him. She slid one finger under the flap of the envelope but didn't open it. Not yet. She let that moment stretch, the way she used to when I was a kid and she was about to tell a story that made everyone lean in. "Oh, I understand enough," she said. "I understand patterns. I understand excuses. And I understand silence." My stepmom crossed her arms. "This is completely inappropriate. If you have something to say, say it. Don't stand there scaring her." Grandma finally turned to her, her gaze sharp as glass. "You've done enough of the scaring." The words hit like a slap. My stepmom opened her mouth, then shut it again. I'd never seen anyone stop her mid-sentence before. I felt my throat tighten. Standing between them, I suddenly felt very small, like I was 12 again, listening from the top of the stairs while adults decided my life without asking me a single question. Grandma lowered the envelope to her side. "Do you remember," she asked my dad, "the night you told me she didn't need college because she wasn't built for it?" My dad exhaled sharply. "That's not what I said." "It's exactly what you said. You said it right after you asked me to stop sending her money." I sucked in a breath. I hadn't known that. I hadn't known any of that. My dad's eyes flicked toward me, then away. I was trying to teach her responsibility. Grandma nodded once. "And yet you never seemed concerned about teaching that lesson to anyone else." The street was completely silent now. Even the cicadas had stopped. I could feel my heart beating in my ears, every thump louder than the last. My stepmom laughed nervously. "This is ridiculous. You're rewriting history." Grandma took a step closer to her. "No, I'm remembering it. There's a difference." She turned back to me. "Do you know why I asked you years ago to keep copies of certain documents?" My stomach dropped. "I thought you were just being careful." Her lips curved into a small, sad smile. "I was being prepared." My dad took a step forward. "Mom, you're dragging her into something that has nothing to do with her." Grandma's voice hardened. "Everything you've done has had something to do with her." I felt dizzy. Pieces of old conversations started clicking together in my head. Half-finished sentences, sudden changes of topic, the way Grandma always asked if I was safe instead of if I was okay. The envelope rustled in her hand. My dad's voice dropped to a whisper. "Please." That one word did more to scare me than all his yelling ever had. Grandma looked at him for a long moment, like she was measuring how much of him was still left. Then she turned slightly, angling her body so both of them, and me, could see the envelope clearly. "This doesn't end tonight. I didn't come here to explode your life in front of the neighbors." Relief flashed across my dad's face. Too fast, too obvious. "But," she continued, I did come to make sure she's not alone anymore. She reached out and placed her hand on my shoulder. It was warm, steady. My stepmom scoffed. So what? You're taking her with you? That's your big move? Grandma's grip tightened just slightly. I'm taking her somewhere she doesn't have to earn the right to stand inside. I swallowed hard. My dad opened his mouth, then closed it again, like he was afraid of what might come out if he spoke. Grandma looked at me for a long moment, like she was measuring how much of him was still left. Then she turned slightly, angling her body so both of them, and me, could see the envelope clearly. "Not tonight," she said softly, "but soon." She guided me toward the car, her hand still on my shoulder, the envelope still unopened. As the limo door swung open and the interior lights spilled out onto the driveway, I glanced back. My dad was still standing on the porch, staring at that envelope like it was a ghost that had finally decided to come home. And I knew whatever was written inside hadn't just been waiting for him. It had been waiting for me, too. The limo door closed with a soft, final sound that felt louder than any shout my dad had ever thrown at me. As the car pulled away, I watched the house shrink in the rear window, the porch light, the door that had been shut in my face, the place I'd been told I didn't belong until I learned respect. Grandma didn't speak right away. She waited until we were a few blocks down, until my breathing slowed, until my hands stopped shaking in my lap. Then she reached into her coat and finally opened the envelope. Inside was a single folded letter. Old paper, familiar handwriting. She didn't read it out loud at first. She handed it to me. My fingers trembled as I unfolded it. The words blurred, then sharpened. "If you're reading this, it means I failed to protect you the way I promised myself I would. Respect isn't obedience. It's knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone shrink it, especially family." I swallowed hard. "I left instructions, I left proof, and I left you choices. You never have to beg to be allowed inside a home again." I looked up at Grandma, tears finally spilling over. "You knew," I whispered. She nodded. I hoped I was wrong. I prepared in case I wasn't. "What happens now?" I asked. She leaned back, her eyes calm, certain. "Now you stay with me. Tomorrow your father will receive copies of things he thought were buried. Documents, records, truth." I thought of his face on the porch, the fear, the way his voice had cracked when he said please. "And him?" I asked. Grandma looked out the window as the city lights slid past. "He'll have to learn something too." The limo turned onto a quiet street lined with tall trees and warm lights glowing behind big windows. It stopped in front of a house that felt solid, unmovable, like it had always been waiting. As I stepped out, Grandma squeezed my hand. "No one gets to put you outside ever again," she said. Behind us, somewhere far away, a phone would soon ring. Questions would be asked. Stories would unravel. But for the first time, I didn't feel afraid of what came next. I walked inside without asking permission, and the door closed gently behind me.
Please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. Thank you.